Wall Street indices end lower on Tuesday. The S&P 500 retreats from record highs dragged by banking stocks. Markets in Asia have opened mixed. The GIFT Nifty is indicating a sluggish start for Dalal Street. Oil prices have surged to the highest level in 12 weeks as geopolitical risks boost concerns about supply disruptions. Meanwhile, gold prices have also hit a fresh record high as US inflation data cements Fed rate cut bets. Silver has also hit a new high. IT major Infosys is set to report its third quarter numbers today. Profit after tax is seen up 1% on a sequential basis. Constant currency revenue growth is seen flat. The company is expected to narrow its FY26 revenue growth guidance towards the upper end of 2.5% to 3% year on year. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar hold a phone call to discuss the next steps regarding bilateral trade negotiations, critical minerals, and a possible meeting next month. And veteran investor Ramdev Agrawal makes a big call for 2026, says automobiles will be the star sector. Manish Chokhani says private sector spending remains subdued and any move by the government to revive animal spirits in the budget will be welcome. Good morning. You're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV 18 ahead of this all-important trading session for our markets in the Mumbai News Center. I am Hormuz Fatakia. Let's first start off with how the Asian markets are faring this morning, and it's a largely green screen as we speak. The Hang Seng is trading with gains of around 0.3%. The Taiwanese index, gains of around 0.5% there as well. The outperformance, though, is coming from the Nikkei in Japan. 800 points higher now on the index, 1.5% worth of gains. The index is trading at record highs. Speculations are rife about a snap poll taking place as early as next month in Japan. So that is what has kept the indices going over there. The Kospi in South Korea, absolutely flat. And the Shanghai Composite too, trading with gains of around 0.5%. So the outperformance in Asia is being led by Japan, and the rest of the indices are also trading with gains, if not healthy at that. But on the flip side, our GIFT Nifty is not indicating a positive start for our own markets. Around a 55-point downtick is what the implied open is suggesting. Well, and based on that, we most likely open around about that 25,700 mark in today's trading session as well. But to set you up for today's trade, we'll tell you all of it about the trade setup and, of course, the stocks that should be on your radar as well. And if you pull up the intradays of both the Nifty and the Nifty Bank in yesterday's trading session, you would see the kind of roller coaster that you had on both the indices in yesterday's trading session, which was the Nifty weekly expiry. The Nifty moves hinged mostly on the Nifty Bank. And if you could see, till the time the Nifty Bank was higher, the Nifty tried to sustain above the flat line, but ever since the Nifty Bank started to come off the highs of the day, it was capitulation for the Nifty as well. And then in the final hour of the trading session, or the final 30 minutes, once the expiry related plays start to take shape, the Nifty Bank started to recover, and then the Nifty consequently recovered as well. The important bit is the fact that they managed to sustain above that 25,700 mark. Today being the sensex weekly expiry, because tomorrow is a holiday, so the weekly expiry has been moved to today. The banks are the ones that are continuing to hold fort. So that remains the sector to watch out for. The banking stocks, the Nifty Bank, the PSU Bank index, because the others are underperforming. The others are not putting their weight forward, the index heavyweights. If you take a look at the contributors chart as well, that will give you a picture of Reliance and all of these other heavyweights, L&T, Bharti Airtel, all of them being on the negative side. Only ICICI Bank and SBI held fort yesterday along with TCS. So that needs to be watched out for. Selling continues in a lot of these underperforming sectors, EMS stocks being one of them, real estate stocks being the other. So keep an eye out on that. The index is respecting levels, yes, but the fall that you see in specific stocks is a lot steeper in the broader markets. Dixon was down 5% yesterday. Trent was down 4% as well. So stock-specific activity needs to be watched out for. Now, 25,700 remains the key for the Nifty. The Nifty Bank, though, has managed to close above the 59,500 mark. So that needs to be seen whether that sustains, and then you move past that towards that 60,000 mark. Although the 59,750, 59,800 band continues to be a bit of a resistance for the Nifty Bank. The earnings reaction to watch today is going to be from Tata Elxsi. The stock has been outperforming before its results, so it'll be interesting to see the kind of moves today after its results. It's a big earnings day as well. Infosys reports results after market hours today, and a lot of these capital market names as well. Grow, ICICI, Pru AMC, HDFC AMC, all of them reporting results in today's session. Watch out for Kotak Bank as well. That's going to be trading its stock split in today's session. There is a 1:5 stock split, so keep an eye out on Kotak Bank as well. So it promises to be a very important trading session for us. It's the Sensex weekly expiry today. The implied open is currently suggesting a 50-point downtick, but that 25,700 level is going to be a very, very important one to be watched out for on the Nifty in today's session. Over to Upasna now, who would list out the stocks that you need to keep an eye out for in today's trade. Upasna, good morning. What is on your list today?
Good morning, Hormas. Firstly, let me start with all the Q3 results. ICICI Lombard, the net premium earned saw an uptick of 12.7%, while net profit was down nearly about 9%. Next up is Tata Elxsi, good growth, CC revenue growth at 3.2% versus the estimate of 2.7%. Reported PAT is down 29% sequentially. This is because of the exceptional loss of nearly about 958 crores. Next up is Just Dial on our radar. The revenue has seen an uptick of 6%, while net profit is down nearly about 10.2% on year-on-year basis. 5paisa Capital is the next one. The revenue has seen a growth of nearly about 2.8%. Sequential recovery is seen in the results, and this is on the back of the strong uptick in the company's average daily turnover, which now has seen a growth of nearly about 24% sequentially. Intratech Building bags order worth 130 crore to manufacture pre-engineered steel building system. Next up is IOB. It has reduced overnight MCLR by 5 basis points to nearly about 7.95 with effect from 15th of Jan. NLC India is the next stock on our radar. The company is in pact with Gujarat government to develop a large-scale renewable project, and the investment potential here is nearly about 25,000 crores. Next up is Endurance Tech. Maharashtra government has increased the incentive to 858 crore versus 606 earlier. And lastly, coming to RailTel Corp, there has been cancellation of 3 major orders from Bihar Education Council, and the total worth of cancellation is nearly over 600 crore. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that as well. So all in all, we'll be watching out for all these stocks in today's trading session.
Indeed, keep an eye out for RailTel in today's session. Upasna, thank you for that update. Moving on, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held a phone conversation with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, focusing on the cooperation in areas of trade, critical minerals, nuclear energy and defense. Parikshit is now joining in with more on this. Parikshit, tell us more details about the phone call between the two leaders.
Well, the phone call by Master Sergio Gore has been described as positive. This is a call between External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State. Both sides discussed the Shanti Bill that has been passed by the Indian Parliament. And Marco Rubio said that this would open up opportunities for American companies to enter the Indian market. They also discussed the critical minerals partnership. There was an extensive discussion on bilateral trade negotiations as well. We can't term these as formal trade talks, but yes, trade was a big component. It is possible that the two sides may have discussed the situation that has arisen as a result of US's 25% tariff announcement on countries doing business with Iran. Clearly, there is a concern on how India would be impacted and whether this would take tariffs on India to 75%. We don't know whether Iran was discussed, but this call seems to have been initiated on a day that this tariff announcement came in. They also discussed regional developments, regional security issues. There was a discussion on increasing cooperation in Indo-Pacific. So a very important call overall. Sergio Gore, the new ambassador, has described it as positive, and he also said that the two leaders, Marco Rubio and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, are likely to meet next month.
Parikshit, thank you for that update. There is an important phone call between S. Jaishankar and Marco Rubio. Now, veteran investor Ramdev Agrawal has made a big call for 2026. He expects the auto sector to be the star performer of the year, while he's also optimistic on the earnings cycle reviving after a brief lull. That is one of the key takeaways from the CNBC TV 18's Market Forum. Listen into what he had to say.
My sense is Q4 will be even better. So I'm very kind of optimistic on the earnings cycle turning up after brief, lull for last 4-5 quarters. I think PSUs still have a lot of steam. They are much more reasonably valued than private sector, and earnings growth is almost 2x of private sector. So that looks to be a very interesting category. And I think financials, I think auto will be the star of the year.
Meanwhile, Manish Chokhani of Enam Holdings says 2026 is a tough year for India unless earnings cross double digits. Take a listen.
It is a tough year until earnings cross substantially double digits and come closer to mid-teens. People aren't going to come chase this market. Money has been going already to emerging markets from Korea all the way to Peru and Chile. The anti-US trade in a way has been on already. Metals have been doing well. Hard assets have been doing well. That trade continues. And I said even then that I would expect financials, hard assets, metals and public sector, especially with the finance minister and the budget day now, a last big resource raising exercise is left is really from the PSUs. So these three would dominate this year in my sense. And if you make a double digit on the index, I'd be very, very happy. I would take it.
Important bites there from Ramdev Agrawal and from Manish Chokhani. Take a short break. All the action from Wall Street on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. On to action from Wall Street then. Indices ended lower and the Dow fell almost 400 points, and that is courtesy JP Morgan, and the stock was down over 4% despite better than expected results. But the investment banking division was a bit of a miss, and that triggered a fall. And of course, that resulted in a fall in a lot of the other banking stocks as well, which weighed on the Dow. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq closed just below the flat line. There was also volatility because of a flurry of proposals from Donald Trump in the recent times, and that is what had an impact on the US indices. CNBC's Steve Kovach gets us a wrap of all the action on Wall Street.
For CNBC TV 18, I'm Steve Kovach. Markets were lower on Tuesday as shares in JP Morgan fell despite better than expected earnings results, and investors digested new data and a flurry of new proposals from the White House. The Dow fell 398 points, the S&P 500 was down 14 points, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq lost 24 points. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said consumer prices rose 2.7% in December, reinforcing hopes that inflation is tempering as the Federal Reserve considers its next move on interest rates. That was unchanged from the previous month and in line with estimates. However, food prices jumped 0.7% for the month, which was the largest one-month increase since October of 2022. The Food and Drug Administration asked drug makers on Tuesday to remove suicide warnings from widely used GLP-1 weight loss medications. The FDA says a review found no evidence linking the drugs to increased risk of suicidal thoughts or behavior. The regulator reached a similar conclusion in 2024, but didn't rule out a small risk because of limited data. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back to you in Mumbai.
Steve Kovach, thank you for that update there. Here's now some opinion from Ali McCartney, the managing director from UBS Private Wealth Management, on the banking sector outlook for the year.
It is possible that what we see in 2026 is the third year of bank outperformance. Credit to Eric and Nigerian, our banking analyst at UBS. That has only happened in recessionary years or years after recession. And it's usually characterized by three things happening in the market. The first is accelerating loan growth, which we are seeing both on the demand side from decreasing interest rates and on the supply side from regulatory reform and releases of the SLR, the strategic leverage reserves. The second is increased M&A activity, which we are also seeing. And the third is a steepening yield curve, which whether we ultimately see because of a bull and a bear steepener and not just decreasing short rates, we're also in.
Now, global central bankers have rallied behind Fed Chair Jerome Powell after the Trump administration launched a criminal investigation. Here's what Geeta Gopinath, the first deputy managing director of the IMF, had to say on this.
Oh, not surprised at all. I've known Chair Powell for a while now, and he is a person of impeccable integrity. So while I don't think this attack on him and this particular approach on central bank independence is going to actually work, what I worry about is the chilling effect it will have on anybody on the committee who's setting rates at this, going forward. And therefore, having this robust pushback, not just from central bankers around the world, but also we're seeing that coming from Congress. I mean, that's super important.
Now, getting you the latest on developments from the White House, the US president has said that he's seeking accurate numbers on the significant killings in Iran and would act accordingly, but declined to say what form any US response could take. His comments come after an Iranian official put the death toll at around 2,000 following the violent protests in the country during the last 2 weeks. Earlier, Trump took to social media to urge Iranians to keep protesting and remember the names of those abusing them, saying help is on the way, as Iran's clerical establishment pressed its crackdown against the biggest demonstration in years. Listen in to his latest comments on the matter.
Iran is on my mind when I see the kind of death that is happening over there. We think we'll get some accurate numbers as to what's happening with regard to the killing. The killing looks like it's significant, but we don't know yet for certain. And we'll act accordingly.
Meanwhile, the president also said that he plans to announce a healthcare affordability framework later this week, signaling a new push by the White House to address rising insurance and medical costs after months of uncertainty over the future of federal subsidies. And lastly, he said that JP Morgan Chase's chief executive Jamie Dimon was wrong to criticize his attack on the Federal Reserve, dismissing concerns about undermining the central bank independence. We take a short break here on Power Breakfast. Cues from the commodities market on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The big result of the day, Infosys reporting numbers after market hours today. Rima is joining in with what the street is expecting from the IT major this time around. Rima, morning.
A slow quarter. Constant currency revenue growth is seen flat, and this comes on the back of about a 2.5% revenue growth seen in the prior 2 quarters. EBIT margins seen slightly up, 21.3% versus 21%. Profits on an adjusted basis is seen up, but we've seen in the case of all the IT companies, there will be an impact, an exceptional loss that the company is likely to take on the back of the new labor code. Now, generally, Q3, Q4 are seasonally weak quarters, but there will be some benefit on account of a very large NHS contract that the company won, which was 1.2 billion euros. CLSA says a small impact of that could be visible in Q3, but a full quarter impact of that deal win will be seen in Q4. The key is on the guidance. Current guidance stands at 2 to 3%. Given that we're just 1 quarter away, maybe the company will narrow it to 2.5 to 3%, but it won't matter unless the company changes the upper end of the guidance. Margin guidance is likely to remain unchanged at 20 to 22%. Back to you.
Rima, thank you for summarizing that for us. Over to Manisha now, who is here with all the updates from the commodity space. Manisha, good morning. A new record high for silver.
Oh, well, yes, and what a strong run-up that we have seen into this one. 89.90 Hormuz. We are just inches away from making that psychological $90 per ounce mark in the silver prices there. Well, this is a target that most banks and brokerages thought will be seen by the end of the quarter, if not by the end of the first half of this year. But it looks like we'll do $100 an ounce in this quarter itself with the kind of buying momentum that we have seen come in for the silver prices. Not just silver, gold has hit an all-time highs as yet. 46.25 is an all-time high on charts for the gold prices. You have copper prices in London and US also hitting all-time highs. There is tin and aluminum trading at a 3-year highs. If you look at the crude oil prices, we are trading at a 12-week highs for both the varieties onto this one as well. And it just continues like that. Most of the tangible commodities, with the way you have seen the economic markets, have seen a lot of support come in. The only reason that you haven't seen a further run-up in Asia right now is because the dollar index has surged higher. 1.5-month highs coming in for the dollar index is what is keeping many of these commodity prices in check right now.
Oh yes, keep an eye out on the dollar now. It's above the mark of 99 as Manisha was highlighting. Manisha, thank you for that update. Take your leave on this edition of Power Breakfast. From me and the team, thank you for watching. Bazaar Morning Call on the other side to set you up for the day's trade.